Hi, I just want to say good afternoon and thank you for attending this press conference. And thank you to Archbishop Mitty for allowing me to do this webinar. I cannot begin to believe today's buzz, not just locally, but nationally, about my commitment to Iowa. All of my teammates at Archbishop Mitty in both basketball and softball, I celebrate this commitment with all of them. To Jason Kidd, thank you for supporting girls basketball in a short period of time. You've helped me fulfill our dreams of playing college basketball. And then with choosing to attend Archbishop Mitty, been one of the best decisions of my life, and I'm trusting my choice to go to Iowa will be my next best decision. I was fortunate to have my dad's junior college coach, Coach Burton, remain in his life to help us choose Mitty. And then my family was part of this decision the entire way, and I thank all of them for that. And it's always been supportive. So nice to see their faces at games, even when I feel like I'm gonna throw up before the game. And then throughout this recruitment process, I've made so many friends from players I'll possibly be playing with or against in the WNBA. And it's just so special. But I'm excited to celebrate my announcement with my family and friends, and I'm excited to be part of Iowa's women's basketball. Go Hawks.
Thank you, McKenna.
Yeah.
We are incredibly fortunate to have one of the best coaches in the history of the game for our women's basketball program. Coach Sue Phillips is a 2024 inductee into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame and a two-time Naismith National Coach of the Year. Please welcome Coach Phillips, who will give us a few words here about McKenna as well.
Again, I'd like to echo what McKenna had said. Thank you for everyone who is tuning in. On behalf of Archbishop Mitty High School Women's Basketball Program, we are thrilled for McKenna and her family. And relative to her commitment to the University of Iowa women's basketball, we are also incredibly proud of and happy for McKenna. For context of McKenna's stature on the recruiting scene, the week prior to McKenna's knee injury, she was considered one of the top players in her class and the leading scorer and rebounder on the number one ranked high school team in the country. For this upcoming Monarchs basketball season, we fully anticipate that McKenna will bounce back to All-American heights. In the years to come, McKenna will undoubtedly continue her winning ways with the University of Iowa women's basketball program. Go Black and Gold.
If you can't tell, Archbishop May's colors are black and gold as well, so we're excited for that, and McKenna's going to represent that well. So now we want to open this up for some questions. If you have questions for McKenna or for Coach Phillips, if you kind of use the raise hand feature, we'll go ahead. So Owen, I think, had it first. If you're comfortable showing your face, just so McKenna gets to know kind of who's going to be covering her in the years to come, that'd be great. If not, we understand people are from their cars or whatever. But we'll go ahead with Owen first.
Yeah, I can. I'm dressed up, ready to anchor in a couple hours, so I don't know how to get my face on here. I didn't see that as an option, but
Okay.
nevertheless, I'll welcome McKenna to kind of Hawkeye Nation, and I'm excited to have you guys have you come over here. I mean, congratulations on coming to Iowa, Jane Jensen. I think that any local media on this call would say that she's one of our favorite people in the world, just like world-class human being, and just always really love working with her. She's the best. So I'd first like to hear. I was watching one of your games from the Tournament of Champions, and they talked about you commuting, I think, from your home to play for Archbishop Mitty. So just talk about your dedication to the game, your drive to, go to a lot of lengths to play for some of the best programs or one of the best programs in America.
Well, the determining factor for coming to Archbishop Mitty was definitely Coach Phillips. She's one of the best coaches in the world, and is just such an amazing role model for me and all the girls on our team. So making that commute is definitely worth it. My parents drove me, and now I can drive. So I definitely don't mind waking up in the morning to come here, not just for academics, but for sports. And, I would not be going to a basketball school like Iowa if it wasn't for Coach Phillips and the rest of the MIDI program.
Excellent. And if you don't mind introducing where you're from too, as what publication or outlet, that'd be great. So Corey Brada. Yeah.
McKenna, congratulations. Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. I'm asking this question. I want to be very delicate with how I ask it. I'm not asking you to knock any of the other schools that recruited you, but what was it about Iowa that ultimately separated them from, the South Carolinas, the USCs? Because obviously you have nothing but good options there. So what put Iowa over the top ultimately?
I'd say, with all my schools that I've been recruited by, all of them were great. I'm so grateful to have the opportunities to be being recruited on this level. At Iowa, I think the college experience and like the city of Iowa was just awesome. Being able to walk from Carver to the football field and just seeing all the fans, I think that's super fun to experience. I also am just, I think the opportunities at Iowa are going to be unlimited. The past girls that have played at Iowa are going to make it so much easier for the girls in the future to come in and play. And I just am super grateful for the staff at Iowa.
This a name I recognize. This is not homerism here, but Christian Babcock from the Mercury News. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Appreciate you introducing me. I know these guys a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Sue, I just wanted to ask you, I know you've talked, extensively about what McKenna means to this program and everything she's accomplished. What does this day, mean for you as sort of a culmination of her career at MIDI?
Well, we're thrilled for McKenna. To see her so happy and excited about her future, it means the world to us. We would love to have McKenna for the years to come, but as we know, they move on at some point, and we're excited to now watch her continue to blossom and develop at the next level. So we're just thrilled, and I can't help but say I can't wait to coach her one more year too.
Ethan Petrick. Ethan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes. Great.
Hi, McKenna. I'm Ethan Petrick with the Quad City Times in Davenport, Iowa. I saw the video of you telling Coach Jensen that you were going to commit. How did you figure out what you were going to say to clue her in on the commitment? And I guess what was that moment like?
So basically, how that happened was Kobe, their videographer. He was awesome. We got his contact on my visit just in case I were to commit to Iowa. And so we messaged him and we're like, hey, if you could, if I FaceTime Kobe and he hands the phone to Coach Jensen, how that would work. And they happened to have media day on this Wednesday morning when I called. So it was perfect. So he set him up, and then they handed the phone to Coach Jensen, and you could kind of just tell from everyone's face that everyone was like, "What's happening?" And it was just so awesome. Seeing everyone's excitement is just so exciting, and I already feel so welcome to the team. All the girls are awesome, and all the coaches. Even though Coach Jensen was one that was there, she told me about all the other coaches' reactions later that day in their staff meeting, and it just makes me even more excited to go to Iowa.
Thank you.
Excellent. Jeff Linder.
Hi, McKenna. Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Been covering the Iowa women for, I think this will be my 19th season, so welcome. Just a couple things. Was there a particular moment that you knew that it was Iowa? How's the knee doing? And what's the worst that somebody's butchered your last name pronunciation-wise?
After my Iowa visit, it was time to finally, make the decision, and it was super hard. It got to the point where it was very stressful, and I didn't really want to talk about basketball or college. So I had to dedicate time at night with my parents just to kind of slowly start talking about it more and more. We'd talk about it and we'd go back and forth. There were days, it would be one school and days where it was Iowa, and then finally it was just like, I know it's Iowa. I just have to go with my gut feeling. And, we kind of slept on it, sat on it for a couple days, and it was still Iowa. So that's kind of how I knew. And then with my knee, it's doing good. We're about 8 months in. On the 29th will be 9 months, which is the minimum date. But we'll see what my surgeon says, and we'll see how much longer it takes. It could be longer. Whatever happens, happens.
What about butchering your name there, McKenna?
Oh,
Hopefully it wasn't
yeah.
me today.
Yeah, that gets butchered all the time. I've heard a mixture of things.
All right, we have another.
Hang on, PK. I just want to add, relative to McKenna's knee, I think she's typically humbly reporting back to you all. She's completing all of the activities in the weight room. Her linear speed is fantastic. We have to pull the reins back on McKenna because she wants to do more and more. But there is no rush to get her back because her health and well-being is our priority. But she looks terrific. and really excited for this upcoming season.
We have another local reporter here, Harold. Are you good, Harold?
See,
Oh, there.
yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you can see me. I'm ugly and I'm traveling. So,
All good.
McDub, sorry to see you go, but I know you're going to a good place. Two questions. Number one, uh, at Girls California Live 25, I know Coach Jensen was not there to see anyone else play, and she couldn't even see you play, but she was there. I mean, did that have impact on you? Okay. And the second question is, did Addie Deal committing to Iowa have something to do with your decision?
Seeing Coach Jensen at the Cali Live tournament was awesome. You know, she told me that she was gonna make it out to come and then also, go see Coach Phillips. And I think that was something that I just really appreciate. When she took the time to get to know my coaches and the other people that are important in my life, I think that that's something that kind of sticks out to me. And then with what was the other question? It was Addie Deal. So with Addie Deal, obviously she's a familiar face. We've played her modern day for like the past 3 years. I also knew her because she played on Cal Stars, so during AAU. I'd say it was definitely nice seeing a familiar face. I wouldn't say that that was a big reason to why all of a sudden I chose Iowa, but it definitely does help. I think her personality and the rest of the teammates are really going to help, which that was kind of what pulled me in, was the culture and the relationships I have with everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Let's go, Terry Bernal. Terry, you there?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I apologize. I was having some trouble with my mic. This is Terry Bernal from the San Mateo Daily Journal. Hello, McKenna. Congratulations. My first question is for Coach Phillips. Hello, Sue. I was wondering if you can tell me, obviously, McKenna didn't play in last year's state championship game, but she was still somewhat actively involved in that game. Can you just talk about her role and her presence on your sideline during last year's championship game?
Hi, Terry. Thanks for tuning in. McKenna's presence is second to none. She has a calming influence on our team, whether she's out on the court playing or she's on the sideline, continuing to pump up the team, telling them what she sees out on the floor, breathing life and confidence into them, is something that comes very naturally to McKenna. And she is so keen and comfortable with who she is that it's infectious to the rest of the group. I am confident to say that if McKenna were on the floor with us, there could have been a different outcome. When you lose your leading rebounder and scorer, that's not to sell short her teammates because they are a fantastic group, but we really had our rhythm going with everyone on the squad, including McKenna. So whether she's on the floor or on the sideline, she is an incredible presence to our team in the most positive of ways.
Okay. Thank you. And I have a question for McKenna too, please. So McKenna, congratulations again. And if you can talk about, we've talked about previously where you see yourself playing on the floor at the next level. Obviously, a lot of post presence in your high school career. Is playing a three part of your objective? How is the injury going to affect that, if at all, going forward? And then I would also like to ask you about the state championship game last year, and if you should have been on your feet as much as you were during that game, because every time out you were in the team huddle on your feet and kind of acting is somewhat, at least from where I was sitting as a coach. So, yeah, if you could start with the college question, please.
So for the position, obviously, like you said, in high school and AAU, I've played a lot of post. So I feel that my post game can help me at the next level. But I do think that I'll become more of a wing in college and so on. Which that's something that my knee actually has benefited because I can't do much. Like I can't pivot or do post moves. I can shoot. So I've been really working on my shooting and my three ball. So I think that will definitely really help for not only this season, but also in college. And then for the question about the state game, at that moment, I just got my brace off and I was just happy to be feeling like I could move around. And of course, I wanted to be in every single huddle, everything I could be in. Even when I was on crutches, I was crutching over to be in every single huddle. I wanted to be a part of the team, and because I still was. I think my teammates and my coaches always made me feel a part of the team, even if I, couldn't come to a game because of my surgery or things like that. And then also being just on the bench, and whether that was helping girls with plays or even just comforting them when they felt like they weren't playing super great. I think it was just that I learned so much, even just not from playing.
Great. So we'll go James Dalpino.
Hi, McKenna. First off, congratulations on your commitment today and your announcement. I was just kind of wondering a little bit about the recruiting process, especially yourself as a leader with a lot of younger teammates either starting that recruiting process or about to get into it. What's a piece of advice that you would give them after reflecting on your own journey to get to this point?
I think that for everybody, the recruiting process is different. So it's hard, you just can't compare it. I've been getting recruited since I was in eighth grade, and so it definitely feels like a lot of weight has been lifted off my shoulders now that today I've been able to announce my commitment. And the piece of advice I would give is actually something that Coach Phillips told me is to smell the roses. You shouldn't take it for granted. We're very lucky to be in this position, and I'm just super grateful for everyone that's helped me get to this position. And I'm glad that I've been able to enjoy it, even though it's been very stressful.
Mitch Stevens. Oh, whoops. Mitch, sorry.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay, McKenna, well, congratulations. Can't say it enough. I got three quick ones. Maybe your dad will keep track of these because I know. But first of all, can you just talk about the going from being a California girl to an Iowa girl? Just that culture shock, as you will. What do you think anticipate from that? The second question is about if you're uncomfortable or do you embrace being linked with Caitlin Clark? It's such a large basketball figure. And lastly, the day you were injured was probably the low point, but maybe there was a low point while you were rehabbing. And did you ever think, or just compare it to this day today and kind of going from the low to the high? Thank you.
To start off, the Cali versus Iowa girl, it's definitely going to be different. I love going to the beach, and that's something I'm not going to be able to do when I go to Iowa. But I have been told that there's a lot of lakes to go to. So I think it'll be super fun, and I think that I'm just super excited for college. After committing to Iowa, it was one of the first times that I was like, okay, I'm excited to go to college, and I'm excited to go to Iowa and become family with my teammates and my coaches. And then the question about being linked to Caitlin Clark, I don't mind it, but we're also completely different people and players. She's definitely paved the way for girls in the future, whether that's playing at Iowa or just in general. Caitlin Clark is a big piece to Iowa, and she's definitely helped put Iowa on the map. But I also watched girls such as Megan Gustafson and Monica, and I just think that they're awesome. And I remember watching them when I was a kid and just kind of being compared to them with our post moves and things like that. So I definitely enjoyed all the girls that have gone to Iowa. And then about my knee, getting hurt was definitely very hard. That took some time. There's ups and downs. It's not just a constant going up graph. You have your low points. But I'm just very grateful that for today, because since day one of getting injured, I told my parents that I will be committed before I come back to playing a sport. And it's just kind of crazy to think that today is that day. Today's been the day I've been thinking about since eighth grade and since getting hurt. And it just feels like I have so much weight lifted off my shoulders. And I'm just so grateful for that today is happening.
Excellent. Scott Reister.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hey, McKenna, my daughter's probably going to Iowa next year as a freshman, so you guys could be living in the same dorm for all I know. Anyway, so welcome to Iowa. Congratulations. Who were your other finalists outside of Iowa, and were you worried about if you were looking at a California school, were you worried about going so far from home?
So my final four was USC, South Carolina, Ohio State, and Iowa. I wouldn't say that distance was really a factor for me. I had schools that were on the West Coast. I had schools that were in Florida across the country. So for me, it was obviously going to be a change, but I wouldn't say that that was a huge factor.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Let's go Dargan Southard. Sorry if I'm.
Can you hear me?
She talked for 20 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, McKenna, you and I share our last names get mispronounced often, but it's all good. Yeah, my name's Dargan Southard. I'm with the Des Moines Register. I don't quite have the seniority as Jeff, but I've been covering Iowa women's basketball for about 10 years now. Wanted to ask you about, obviously, we've all seen the Iowa women's basketball brand really skyrocket in the last few years. Conveniently announced today that season tickets are sold out for a third straight year. How much was that pitched to you as, hey, you can be the next one to come in here and take advantage of all this? And how much did that, appeal to you throughout? And then the second thing is, obviously there's about a month and change until signing day. How much recruiting will you be doing for the Hawkeyes over the next month and change, particularly with a friend of yours in Kansas City?
So to start, I'm gonna start with that question. I'm definitely gonna be heavily recruiting all the Iowa girls that they're recruiting at this moment. Addison, we are friends on USA, and she would definitely be someone that I would want to play with. So I will definitely be heavily recruiting her, so don't worry. And then what was the first question? It was
Asking about how there's been 3 years of consecutive sellouts and there's a huge
okay.
following for the Iowa brand. How much did that impact you?
So I think that, that's so awesome. I think that Iowa and the fans have definitely helped shape women's basketball, and also with Caitlin and Kate and Gabby and all of them, I think that they've definitely made a new era of basketball. I'd say that, I'm going into it with no expectations, just like how I came to Midi. I was just like, basically when we started with preseason, we have open gym, and there was like the varsity group that was in the main gym. And I was just like, one day I got moved to that gym and I was just so excited and kind of just like went into it knowing nothing. I didn't expect to be on varsity. I didn't expect to be who I became, but it's been so awesome. And now I'm just really excited to go to Iowa and see what can happen.
Christian. Christian, you there?
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Good.
Okay, awesome. Sue, I wanted to follow up on, I know you said how excited you are to coach McKenna this season, understandably. Do you expect her to be full go for your first game?
First of all, Christian, hello, and thank you for tuning in. It's a great question. I really think we're following McKenna's feedback on how her body's responding to rehab and recovery. And we're really not trying to put a target date out there, because I think that puts unnecessary pressure on her, because if anything, we're trying to kind of pump the brakes for her a little bit. So she will definitely play more games than she doesn't play, if that makes sense. So we anticipate her playing. I don't know when, and we're elated to have her back whenever that happens.
Great. Kyle Huseman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Hi, McKenna. I'm Kyle Huseman with Hawkeye Report with On Three Sports. Kind of have two questions that are pretty different. First off, you look at the recruiting rankings and you become the second highest rated recruit in Iowa women's basketball history. I know that one of the big things that you want to do is contend to make a Final Four, contend to win a national title. Why did you feel like with your talks with the coaching staff, with Jan Jensen, the whole staff? Why did you feel like Iowa was the place that you could potentially do that to make a Final Four, win a national title? And then my second question, I've talked with other people that have been injured before and missed an entire season, and they feel like that sitting on the side, you can learn some things just watching the game and not playing in it. Just curious to hear your thoughts on some things that you learned, maybe from a leadership standpoint, or just watching the game and not being a part of it, and if you feel like that helped you in a certain way.
Thank you. I'd say going to Iowa, a big part, one of my main goals not only was just the relationships and to have that family feel, was to be a contender for, Big Ten championship, the Final Four, all those things. And I just have the utmost confidence in the Iowa staff. I think that they can do something great. And also with the people they're recruiting, I think that, people like Addison Bjorn, Jenica Lewis, those are people that can help, bring the team to a Final Four. And I'm just very confident in that. And then the other question was, oh my gosh, what was the other question?
Kyle, do you have that?
Yeah, just kind of about, like I said, I've talked with other people that have been injured before and missed entire seasons. Just what did you learn while sitting on the side in terms of the leadership side of things, and then just watching the game and not playing it? What did you learn from watching on the side?
Okay, yeah. So I definitely learned so much being on the sideline. Obviously, when I played, I've always been in it, and you really are only seeing it from your perspective. So being able to be on the sideline, I've learned so much from the 1 through 5. One of my best friends on the team last year, she was our point guard, and kind of just being able to talk to her about the game and see like how much the point guards have to go through, like all the trapping and pressing they have to deal with. So then it also just makes me, as a post, become more aware of helping them out when they're in the backcourt. So I think that's definitely something. And then also just seeing like film and being able to talk to Coach Phillips, Coach Guerra, Coach Monson, those are our 3 coaches. Being able to sit on the sideline with them and talk to them and talk with them through plays, I think is definitely going to be very helpful for my game in the future.
Edwin Orocho.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, it's EJ. What's going on, McKenna? So you revealed to me about a month ago on my podcast that you had your 4, and we kind of went over like some of the factors for each school. Did you know back then when we spoke that it was Iowa at that point?
I did not. It was at that point, I was still going back and forth between basically all those schools. And, since then, it took a really long time to make the decision.
And just one more follow-up question, if that's okay.
Yep.
Did the fan base influence your decision at all? Because, I mean, I'm sure you're aware they have the biggest fan base on social media. And anytime your name is brought up in anything, it just gets hundreds of thousands of views and everybody goes crazy. So how do you feel about, going to play for a school that has hands down the biggest fan base of them all right now?
Obviously the fan base, like you said, is huge. It's crazy to see all the stuff that they say on Instagram, Twitter, any of it. But I'd say the decision that I made it for myself. I knew that that's somewhere that I wanted to go. And obviously there were so many factors like the fans, the basketball, the academics, everything. But in the end, I just wanted to go to the place that I felt like was the best for me. But I would say the fans are definitely a benefit and will be great in the future.
Owen, did you have another question? We have time for a couple more here, I think.
Yeah, I was curious, just like when Iowa first came on your radar, obviously everybody knew about them when Caitlin Clark was there, but like, did you Are you old enough to have watched Megan Gustafson or have known about them like before Caitlin Clark kind of made them a national talking point?
Yeah, so I did know about Iowa. I did know about those players before. Kind of because my dad's in college basketball, we would always had college basketball on TV, so I'd watch those players. But Iowa recruiting me, that's a completely different story. I didn't start getting recruited from Iowa until about after my sophomore year in the summer. And that's a really long story. Basically, Coach Jensen, had notes on me from USA, and those notes got lost when she was changing into Coach Bluter's office. And so basically, Addison Bjorn's dad was talking to my dad about like the relationships at Iowa and how Iowa's just always been so great to Addie. So then, my dad reached out to them, and then they kind of reached back out, being like, "Oh my gosh, the notes got like mistaken. We've been wanting to recruit you. We just got confused." And so then we started talking on the phone, and then obviously since then it's been everything but great. Everything great, yeah.
Mitch, do you have another question?
I do, yes. Sorry. Thank you. I never asked McKenna this on any podcast. I don't have a podcast, but I was wondering if, first thing is just how important is it for you to win your last game, McKenna, and what will it take? And lastly, on this note, do you still puke before every game?
So about the first question, since coming to Midi, a goal has definitely been state, winning that Open Division state championship. We've fallen short the past couple years, but that's definitely a goal for me and my senior class as well. Like we have been together since the beginning, and that's something that we definitely want to try to win for Coach Phillips. She's been at this for a while and we just want to win it for her. And then the second question, no, I do not puke before games. I definitely do get very nervous though. As soon as the ball gets, the jump ball happens, I'm no longer nervous because now I'm in game mode and I'm serious and not thinking about anything other than the game. But before that, yes, definitely very nervous.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Aaron Williams.
Hi, Aaron Williams, Max Preps. McKenna, congratulations. Got to be a big relief to get this off your plate before senior season. The other relief I wanted, if you could talk about, is, without you, the team still got to the state finals. And even though you fell short, does that take some weight off your shoulders coming into the senior season, knowing that those guys had to kind of find new roles on the fly with Coach Phillips, and we're still able to, get to the finals?
So for that question, I'm last season when I got hurt, I was just so proud of my team to see how far they made it, and I'm just glad that they were all able to take on different roles. And I just think they did so great. And obviously, it sucks that we've graduated now 16 years, but now we're also getting new girls that are going to help benefit our team in many ways. This year, I feel like it's going to be stressful because coming back from my knee, it's going to be different stresses. But I'm just so excited to be back out there with my teammates and with my coaches, no matter what happens, and make it to that state game and actually win it.
All right, we're gonna take about 2 or 3 more. Kyle.
Yeah, I was curious if when you went on your official visit to Iowa, I was just curious if there was anyone on the team, in particular the current roster players that maybe you'll play with here in a couple of years, that stood out as maybe the ones that had the biggest impact during that official visit. Obviously, you wanted to have a good relationship with all your future teammates, but was there anyone in particular that you had a good relationship with that kind of helped?
Throughout my visit, I got along with all the girls. I hung out with them at different moments. Taylor Stremlow, she was with me. She was kind of my mentor throughout all. I like drove with her. I went to things with her. She was always with me. But I'd say that with everybody, I just loved everybody, and I'm just so excited to play with them next year. And obviously, we're gonna miss Jada and Kylie. But
Harold.
Sue, this is for Sue. You've had a lot of great players. How does McKenna rate amongst all the great ones?
McKenna was our first CCS Player of the Year as a freshman. So she's had a lot of firsts. She was, again, one of the few players who was USAB and top 5 players in the world at the U17 championship game. She was on pace to be our all-time leading scorer, as well as one of our leading rebounders. So, while I don't want to sell anyone short from before or make McKenna feel like she needs to live up to a certain set of expectations, she will be definitely one of the all-time greats I've had the privilege and pleasure of coaching during my tenure at Archbishop Mitty High School. Just an absolute gem.
And I think we're going to have our last question here from Christian. Christian, you still there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, Pat?
Yep.
Beautiful. I think we got it figured out. Third time's a charm. Yeah, McKenna, last time we talked, I sort of neglected to ask you this question, and I was just curious. South Carolina has a little more of an established legacy as far as winning national titles, and I was curious, with the recruits that came in the class before you at Iowa, the ones that will come in with you in this class, was sort of trying to build your own legacy at Iowa and maybe carve out something that program has never done. Was that attractive to you and maybe part of the reason why you ultimately decided to go to Iowa?
I wouldn't say going into it, I was thinking I'm going to build a legacy. I'm just going into it thinking that these opportunities that Iowa will provide for me are going to be great. Again, I can't wait to play with my future teammates. And just like the past girls, I think they've set awesome opportunities and, ways to make maybe my transition easier at Iowa or possibly in the W. But yeah, I'm really excited to go play for Iowa and just be a part of the team and hang out with all the girls again.